Bienvenue.
Einen wunderschönen guten Abend darf ich wünschen. Mein Name ist Sebastian Russold. Willkommen beim letzten oder zum letzten Winzertalk dieses Jahr im Kölner Weinkeller. Heute passend schon mal, wir greifen schon mal vor zum Fest. Wir gehen in die Champagne und wir haben unser neues Champagnerhaus hier, Juillet-Lallement. Und zugeschaltet sind die beiden Besitzer und ein Freund der Familie, der ein bisschen hilft beim Übersetzen. But now I'm switching to the English language because I think it's easier, as I'm not really speaking good French. Thank you that you're speaking English with me. It's much easier for me. Thank you for your time. It would be a pleasure if you could introduce yourself to our audience. And who are you and what are you doing?
Okay, so just for everybody to understand, I will be the translator of the session. I'm a friend of the family, and so Jean and Virginie, that you will also see right here, are the grower in Verzy and Verzenay, Sillery area. So Jean, please.
Jean, hello, I'm Jean. I'm a winemaker, and we are the fourth generation of a producer in Champagne Juillet-Lallement. We are in Verzy, in Montagne de Reims. It's a special region for the production of our wine.
Yeah. Ich würde sagen, I think we start with the first wine, and then we can talk a little bit about your style of wine and what are your thoughts about champagne. As we only have 45 minutes, I would say we won't lose time and start with the most important thing, a good glass of wine. We start with the Brut Sélection.
We also have.
That's good. So you mentioned you're in the fourth generation. So when was the winery founded? Or how long is four generations?
1931.
1931.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my great grandfather with other people in Verzy. At the beginning, my great grandfather with René Juillet want to create a cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
After the difficulty to create the cooperative, he chose to create a brand, association brand, the first association brand in Champagne.
It was at this time it was an association between growers that was such a unique concept. Because historically speaking, in the 30s, we used in Champagne to create a lot of cooperative when the people wanted to be together, all together. This was the first idea, as Jean was explaining, and they wanted to create this association that was a unique concept between three friends that used to tell each other, if we put all our mediums in common, now to create something, and from this they used to create the brand Juillet-Lallement.
Okay. And since when is it because now you are a classic grower champagne or and since when did you only grow, also just grow your grapes and then do the vinification you by yourself?
René Juillet is died very after 15 years with the question, and my great grandfather with my grandfather decided to continue to pursue the production.
Ah, okay.
It keeps the brand.
And so if you take the 30s plus 15 years, then from this, the grandfather and the father and Jean used to produce by their own, from their own vineyards, and from the initial when they were associated, they were all three independent wine grower in a way.
Okay.
So
Good.
producing from their production.
So, and I think now I would say cheers, and let's have a taste. I would say this is your cheers. I think this is your main brand. I would say this is the most produced sparkling wine or champagne, of course.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we like to call with Virginie and Jean. This is the entry door of the domain. This is our baguette. This is our baguette in a way.
That's
we always thought that like a baker, and you know that French people are completely fond of bakeries and pastries. We always think and believe that when you've got a good baguette and you like to visit your baker, then all the special breads are good as well. So it's a good criteria to start with. So that's what Jean and Virginie wanted to transmit as well with this cuvée. Yeah. Maybe tell us about maybe the cuvée. What do you think, Sebastian?
Perfect.
The blend of selection, it's 60% Pinot Noir and 40% Chardonnay. The base of the blend. After every year, we put in the blend reserve, and now we keep reserve since 18 years more, and every year we blend between 40 and 50% in the blend final for the selection cuvée.
And so the reserve wine are made of, as you maybe understood, a Solera version, Champenoise Solera, meaning that we are removing, let's say, 60 to 50% of the blend in order to blend it with the base of the year. And we've started this Solera from 18 years, and so it's still driving.
Yeah, I really love, I would say, the complexity and the smoothness, the roundness in this wine, because as it's your entry level, it's still not, I would say, an easy drinking champagne. It still has this complexity, but it's very round and smooth. And this is, for me, actually what I'm looking for an everybody's darling champagne. It really satisfies the people who are into champagne, but also those who just want to have a glass of sparkling wine, I would say, who are not really know what is champagne, but you really taste the quality. And this is what this special cuvée, or this cuvée actually makes it really special for me, because I can really use it for anything, for aperitif, but also for starters. You can also match wonderful grilled fish with it, and so on, because it has the structure from the reserve wines, and you really taste it. Yeah, it's very well made. Yeah.
Thank you, Sebastian, for your comments. We completely shared your comments, because the complexity of this wine is ready enough to be paired. It's like the wine that is pairing pretty much everything, and that is also suiting pretty much every situation. Yeah. We are used to have it over the harvest, for example.
Yeah.
We like it. This is the wine from the harvest for us. We like also sometimes to have other wines at certain moments when we share, but every day over the harvest we like to open this bottle without thinking. So it's accessible enough to be open without thinking, and it's complex enough in order to be paired. So yeah. So we are really happy with your comments as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoy it, and I will have a glass for my dinner after our interview for sure. So, but I would like that you give some idea for our customers, because you are in the Montagne de Reims, and I would say there are other very famous sub-regions of Champagne. like the Vallée de la Marne oder the Côte de Blanc or the Côte de Cézanne and the Côte and the Aube or the Côte de Bar. So what is the special thing about Montagne de Reims?
We are on the limestone, principally, on Verzy, Sillery, Versonnet, principally, and the exposition, it's northeast, northwest. The climate is more fresh and it's very different, and it's no problem for the maturation. It's good now.
Yeah.
I think it's very different for the exposition and the limestone.
Yeah.
For the powerful and minerality.
Is there a reason why it's planted northwest? Because normally, when you think in Germany, the side you're looking for is always southeast, yes. Southwest. But why it's planted north? And my further question would be: now we have climate change, so I think it's getting warmer, and so this is really very good for you that your slopes are facing north. But 100 years ago, why did they do it? Because it was much cooler.
Yes.
Do you want me to answer that one? Because we often exchange about this subject. So as this is a technical subject, I will answer. For the translation, it's easier. So, historically, it was a signature in this part of Champagne. Montagne de Reims was well known for the Pinot Noir. Yeah. I think we can say that. Even if here at Juillet-Lallement, we are a kind of exception because we have more Chardonnay than Pinot Noir, and we even have a little bit of Pinot Meunier. And the Meunier in Grand-Cru is authorized. Yeah. And we are the really first grower in Champagne to use to plant some Meunier in Grand-Cru. So historically, to answer your question precisely, it was a signature that used to show Pinot Noir really fresh and structure, dimension too old. We have tasted the last weekend, last Friday together, old wines from the winery from 84. 84, if I and 86. Sorry. So 86, it was still fresh. Blind tasting, you can say it 86. Yeah, you can say, and this is also a good way to answer your question, because the north, east or west exposure used to drive the Pinot Noir with a slow maturation, with revealing the minerality of the terroir, the limestone, as my friend was explaining to you. Nowadays, this is a trend with the climate change, because for us, everything is good. Yeah. Going well, I will say. Cross the finger. And this is also a good thing to preserve the acidity still today. To me, it's also interesting to see that, for example, the natural aeration, of the terroir is also interesting, because when you've got damp condition, for example, this is drying the grapes easier because of the northeast exposure that is much more windy exposed. For example, I'm thinking about Sillery, our plot in which we've got the Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Meunier that is drying quite easily due to this exposure and this approach. So you have to know that in Verzy, a little bit in Verzy, much more in Verzy and Sillery, you've got terroirs that are slight slopes and some nearby the forest. And so this is quite different from one to each other.
Yeah, okay, good. So when you're outside of your particular plots, or let's say when you're going to Vallée de la Marne and Côte Blanc, they are planting south, or they're planted south, or is it all over Champagne, they're planted north?
Non, c'est vrai, ça dépend des villages. Oui.
It depends on the villages.
Okay. Okay.
Historically, some used to look for more south exposure. Some look more north exposure. It depends from one village, so one cru to each other in Champagne. That's the choice.
It's super interesting because in Germany, as I explained before, now many wineries are thinking, okay, where can I plant north side? Where can I plant? So they are looking for sites. They are of course they're not classified so you're not really particularly allowed to grow their wines. So this is but I would say that the wineries are looking and where can I do something? But that's super interesting.
Sebastian, you have to have in mind that in Champagne, whatever the exposure is, the most important is to have the good maturity point. So when we are making a selection cru by cru and nowadays plot by plot, you will have some really hard choices to make when you're at the point to harvest. This is what we call in the preparation step, the maturation network, in French, le réseau maturité, in which you will decide which village, which plot, which will be the plan in order to pick up your plots. And this is really important. We've got one of the maybe largest maturation network in the vineyard in Champagne compared to the other vineyards. So we are quite precise on this point.
And we eat.
And we also eat, we taste.
Yeah.
It's not about measuring, it's also tasting the skin, the pulp, the seeds, even. When you've got brownie seeds, it's also an indication. So you've got the measure on acidity, potential alcohol potential, the sugar, and the taste, the organoleptic aspect of the grape.
Yeah, of course, and as well, you don't have to, would say, ripe the grapes as other regions, because you want those low alcohol, high acidity, because you are doing a secondary fermentation where you're getting your I would say 12 and a half, maybe that's the maximum, I think, for me when I want to drink champagne, 12 and a half. And there you have those freshness and so on.
And in Champagne, you're not allowed to go over 13.
Yeah. We will see how maybe this law will change in 10, 15, 20 years. We will see.
Maybe.
So, normal. Yeah.
Sorry, Sebastian. One last thing about this exposure matter. It's also the soil.
Yeah.
On which Jean was insisting. The soil has an importance. Maybe you want to tell some words about soils à propos des sols qui apportent aussi cette fraîcheur.
Oui, sur Sillery, mais encore plus, parce qu'on est vraiment sur de la craie. Donc, Verzy, on est plus sur de l'argilo-calcaire. Mais on a une relation plus de proximité aussi avec la forêt par rapport à notre vignoble, ce qui est complètement différent de Sillery, où on a un vignoble qui est beaucoup plus exposé. Et donc,
pas le même impact sur le
pas le même impact aussi sur le sol. On est sur des sols beaucoup plus clairs.
I'm translating also this point. You know, on the soil, sorry, you guys, on this point, this is really important to have in mind that, for example, in our case, Sillery is bringing a lot of more freshness due to the soil, the subsoils that are much more chalky turned compared to Verzy that is bringing more clay, and clay plus chalk, limestone, is also giving more potential. Okay, on Verzy, I was explaining to you earlier that we have got the proximity to the forest, and the forest is also having an impact on, for example, the fog that is bringing when you've got temperature variation, etc., and the wind exposure that is different from Verzy and Sillery. So if you're combining all three plus the subsoils, the grape variety, etc., and the choice in the maturation network, then you've got also the typicity of the wine.
Yeah. I think I love all the thoughts. I mean, this is your culture. This is why I would say France is such an amazing or really an outstanding wine growing country, because you have the history of wine growing. I would say some other parts in the world, they are just starting to think about all the things you are now telling me. And so you are decades ahead, or even centuries, I would say, when you think about Burgundy and so on, and all this kind of classification, terroir, and all those thoughts. This is French, and I would say that's why Champagne, I would say, is the icon sparkling wine in the world, and everyone wants to copy it because it is so unique. Going to unique, maybe not unique, but we are now. But this is one of my personal favorites from your range. We are changing from an assemblage to a single grape variety to a blonde noir, and let's have a try.
Yes, it's a blend only with Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir from only Sillery, Sillery village, and it's a blend between 5 years in reserve and the Harvest 19 for 50% of Harvest 19 and 50% reserve, and one part of reserve pass in oak barrels during 2-3 months, and after we put the wine in still tank and we keep at the same temperature.
Yeah.
This is, to me, as I know the family for years now, the illustration of their motto, because the motto of the family is the passion of blending for 4 generations. And indeed, to me, this is the illustration of this. When we are participating in the blending session, they are playing with inches of something, somehow, as this cuvée is showing, 50%, in which a part is going through oak barrel vinification, another part into certain thing, in order to find a certain balance and to express the typicity of the blonde noir.
Yeah.
So here we are.
It's super interesting when you taste this, when you compare it to the Brut Sélection. This one is much more, I would say, much more serious, but on the same time, you have the style of the house, which is also, I would say, very pleasant. Often for me, blonde noirs are too dry, are too edgy. There are not really, I would say, you can enjoy maybe 1 or 2 glasses, but not a bottle. I would say this is often too much. And this one has, I would say, the smokiness, the spiciness, which I'm always looking for in a blonde noir. But on the same time, you have this roundness and the creaminess, which gives it, I would say, an easy drinking time. And when I took just a sniff from the wine glass, I imagined this is the perfect wine for a barbecue, where you grill pork, where you grill some veal, something like that, where you have grilled stuff on the grill actually. And when you have this type of smokiness with it, it's this wonderful combination. And blonde noir, especially this one, is for me an absolutely food and wine pairing monster, because it's used to so many different dishes and different kind of dishes, of course. And when I'm going into a restaurant, and I do not really find something on the wine list what I want to drink for the night, I always go for a bottle of champagne, because I think champagne is, instead of everything now, is a wonderful food and wine pairing wine.
It's much more versatile wine, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's between the food and the gastronomic plat, and and the tasting.
By itself.
Yeah, of course.
We are always surprised by this wine, Jean. What do you think? Every time we are tasting this wine, we are discovering again. Maybe Sebastian, it makes sometimes different times that you're tasting this wine. It's first opening in the glass. We all together opened the bottle before, and that might be an advice for all the people that are watching us. And I will give you a tip also, or not a tip, just a memory. I had the chance to share with these guys a version in Magnum, like it's like a private version of the wine that we've tasted for my birthday, and we were completely out of words, we can say. So I remember that Jean looked at me. He was having the first sip, It was like, wow, I know that it's my wine, but wow, you remember? And we were completely, even my father-in-law, that is not drinking too much. I used to say, oh. That is a really nice champagne.
It's often interesting when you compare the normal bottle to a Magnum bottle or to a 3-liter bottle, how the wine changes. Even in still wines, there can be huge differences. It's very, very rare that you get the opportunity, of course, to taste a normal bottle to a Magnum bottle. It's not really common to do that. It's mostly happened by it just happens. But it's absolutely interesting, and I had a masterclass with the chef de cave from Ruinart, and he really didn't study on how the dosage affects the wine in a normal bottle, in a bigger bottle, as in a Magnum bottle, or a normal bottle, in a 3-liter bottle, and he played with the different dosage, and in the end, all 9 wines were completely different. It was super interesting to experience that, and I think, and that's actually a question what I wanted to ask. We talked shortly before about the assemblage and how to handle with the reserve wines. Where actually do you get the experience or the feeling of you need a tiny bit of this one, a tiny bit of that one, and then you are getting there where you want to get.
Où est-ce que tu trouves l'inspiration de tout cet assemblage quand tu vas prendre un petit peu de ci, un peu de ça? Talent.
The pleasure and the passion.
Pleasure, passion. I was saying talent. He's a talented guy. When the people are, it's something quite sensitive. If I'm looking my friend making the blending exercise, I'm not looking a person like a scientist trying to find a certain percentage, a certain balance, or a recipe, or even a method. He's doing that with heart, as is growing the vine, as is pressing the grapes, as is then vinificating. And every time, at every step, this is what I'm feeling from you. You're giving your heart, your patience, and it's quite a humble and honest, approach. He's tasting. This is not me, or this is me. This is not my father. This is my father style as well. And I think this is the key path to the success of a wine like this.
Yeah, it's for me. It's always, I would say, in German we have a word of mouth. It's called it's like a book which is sealed 7 times. And I also tried to do some assemblage, and I only can imagine how hard it is to get every year the same style, because every year is different. And your I would say your basic champagne, it's not talking about the vintage champagnes, should taste actually the same every year. Or do you also have variants in years?
With the reserve, today it's very more easy because we can keep the wine during a long time. And it's the base of the blend. And it's the first importance for that.
The red line? The red line? Yeah, that's true. That's also the way, you know. The most difficult for us when, as you know, when you are realizing this kind of exercise is to have in mind that your wine will exist and be drunk by people in several years.
Yeah.
And, even if you're tasting a clear wine that is really good, it has to go through a second fermentation. So it will naturally add bubbles. And then it has to go through an aging, so a micro-oxidation in bottle. It has to go through a disgorgement, that is also changing the wine, and through a dosage, and then through an aging post-disgorgement, it is changing the wine. And so you have to know the best way how your wine is evolving, how your terroir are expressing into your wines. And that's the most difficult to me.
Yeah,
you're doing well.
Absolutely. I like how the champagne develops in the glass, and I'm curious when I leave it now open for 2 hours, something like that, how this wine will evolve. Because I think that there's really a misunderstanding. The people think that sparkling wine in general, speaking now in general for all sparkling wines, it's an other category, like fortified wines or like those very, very sweet wines. It's all wine, and like red wine, like white wine, air or oxygen really changes the wine, and there are many champagnes out there who actually taste better when you open a bottle and drink it the next day, when you seal it and drink it the next day, because then they can a little bit, I would say, develop a little bit more. Great.
The only thing is that with a sparkling wine, if you open the bottle before, you have to accept to lose a little bit of sparkling.
Yeah.
And if you close the bottle and you've got minimum 50% of wine inside, then the sparkle will be kept easily into a fridge. And then the wine is also evolving. And you're right, it's always important. And before connecting, we were speaking also about the glasses. Yeah. Feel free, you guys, to, as Sebastian is recommending as well, to have like white wines, glasses, sparklings, and especially champagnes are dimensioned to support white wines glasses.
Yeah, I absolutely, I always recommend this because this is really a game changer in terms of taste. Yeah, we also, I would say, our really special club in this case, a very special bottle. Because I would say this label is you will find on many different champagne houses. So what is Special Club? And then I think after that we'll talk a little bit about the champagne.
Okay, I will explain if you want.
Yeah.
Maybe my friend told me just one thing is also filling red fruits on the nose, on the blanc de noir. By the evolution, you know. So,
yeah. I think those kind of red apple peel when you leave it a little bit, when you peel an apple and then you leave it and then it gets a little bit brownish and then this gets it's I sense that.
You want to share? Sorry. Yeah. So yes, special glove. So you can find this special bottle and pretty much the same labeling. Exception made from the name, obviously. in this association. So special club that is containing the club members, as we say, so the members, is an association that has been created in 1971, and in which Juillet-Lallement has been participating into the creation and vinificating the first vintage in the club in 73 for Juillet-Lallement. Because 71 and 72 was not good enough to be a vintage. So how it works? Special club is a club in which the team members are all guaranteeing a certain level of quality in the total production of the growers, but especially for the club, special club bottles. Okay, so this is going through a certain steps. So the first step, you have to make the tasting of your clear wines, the final blending of your vintage, and then the committee that is composed of enologists and growers is also meeting in order to decide if your wine is good enough to be called special club. Then you will bottle the wine, you will wait several years, and when you're ready to release it, you will have to make it taste again to the committee in order to verify if the wine is conform, good enough again. And if you've got the final validation, this is not always the case, then you're allowed to release your cuvée as a special club with a labeling extra. If it's not, you're not allowed to release the cuvée. So you have to remove the wine from the bottle, what we call put it in circle, and you're not allowed to commercialize under the special club mention. So it's a double guarantee between a producer, talented producer, that are making together and guaranteeing a certain quality, style, and potential, because all the bottle has a strong potential. And this is always vintaged champagne. So last Friday, I was mentioning to you that we are tasting a 86 bottle of Juillet-Lallement Special Club over the baptism, because every year there is an official event, private official event, in which you will show off the new vintages. So this year we've launched the 2016 vintage, and we've introduced our 2016 freshly disgorged to the people that were present, and as well the other brother. And then you've got a dinner in which you will pair some bottles and to have some private collection of special clubs, historically members, even if the members are not in the association anymore.
Okay. And so can you say that this is the best champagne from your house, or is Special Club always the best champagne, or is it or because
this is no, historically it was the best champagne of the houses.
Yes.
It was the purpose, I guess.
Yes.
Now concerning Juillet-Lallement, we've got a specific line that is called Belle de Juillet, that is also another selection. So this is the best potential in vintage in general we are choosing for Special Club.
Okay.
And then we are also selecting special plots or villages approach, grape variety by grape variety, vintage by vintage, on Belle de Juillet range, in which you will find a Blanc de Noir, pure Pinot Noir, a Chardonnay, a pure Meunier. So the only Meunier Grand-Cru.
And Rosé d'assemblage.
And a blending Rosé 2012 as well. So this is the high-end line, but Special Club is also among the high-end cuvées that we have. And for sure, we are not producing Special Club every year.
Yeah.
But it has a certain standard.
Yeah. So now we talked about Special Club. Now we're talking about the champagne inside. Okay, what's inside and
what's inside?
What's inside?
Jean will tell you.
Yes. It's the Harvest 14, of course. And the blend, it's 70% Chardonnay, 70% Chardonnay, and 30% Pinot Noir. Chardonnay from Verzy, and Pinot Noir from Sillery. And the production of Special Club in Juillet-Lallement, historically, it was 70-80% Chardonnay, from the rest in Pinot Noir. And from the new blend in Special Club, 15, 16, 18, and 20 now. The blend, it's versus the contrary. It's more Pinot Noir now, and for 20, by example, it's 90% of Pinot Noir for just 10% on Chardonnay. It's the harvest. We give the tempo, the line for the next blend. When we want to produce a Special Club, we test the grape varieties, and when the wine it's okay in Pinot Noir, and it's very different now on Chardonnay. It's more
ripen.
Yeah, and it's difficult to keep a wine during a fresher, to keep the fresh. It's better now to keep Pinot Noir. I prefer to blend Pinot Noir.
When you compare, beside that this one is a vintage champagne, so you don't have the reserve of like in the other ones, which gives another texture, another feeling. But here you really feel, I would say, it's much more precise is maybe the wrong the wrong word for it, but it's much more straight. I think it's the right word. It's very, very, very high minerality, very precise in terms of sharpness. The other one was much more rounder. Here you have much more this orange peel, yellow apple, lemon zest stuff. The other ones were much, I would say, much more also, especially the Blonde and Noir, much more on the smoky side. This one does not really have the smokiness. It really have this mouthing acidity, and this is a very, very great example of, I would say, a wonderful champagne, a really high class champagne, which has, of course, complexity, but also as well. I would say it's wonderful, easy to drink, and you really taste the effort, and for me it definitely deserves the status of Special Club.
We totally agree with you. I don't know what do you think? Yeah, you've got for us, you've got a perfect balance between the acidity and bitterness as well. That is also dimensioning the wine through much more citrus aromas. Yeah, and I totally agree with you on the minerality part. The tension is serving the wine. Is even, I would like to say, even nourishing the wine, because you've got something under your tongue that is expressing the terroir properly, and also the vintage effect is expressing. If you compare the brut selection that is consensual but really versatile, the Blanc de Noir much more spicy and smoky and round as well, and a little bit of oak, well integrated. That is bringing another dimension, and here you've got the straight aspect of the wine through acidity, bitterness, and all positive, obviously, because to us we are not speaking about bitterness enough. Although it's really important, bitterness. I mean, for the structure of the wine, and we always have the pleasure. Virginie was was asking for a glass more. She was telling me in the ear. This is always a pleasure to discover again this vintage. And we had the 2006 Special Clubs several weeks ago. It was also very sympathetic, and yes.
Yeah, it's. I would say those the previous two ones. They were the multi vintages, so the non-vintage. So I would say those are made for the consumption, for right now consumption. But this one, especially as you mentioned, you tasted all the ones. The vintage champagne you can always keep in the cellar, and they will develop. I'm not a really big fan of over-aged champagne. I like the freshness and I like this kind of the aromas, but this is a personal preference. So I would say when I had some very old Veuve Clicquot and Moët Chandon, so from the 19 whatever, so really before Second World War. So those are completely different wines, of course. But even when I taste old champagne, it's not my personal preference. It's high quality always, and they can age. But it's would say it's the same thing like Bordeaux. With every wine, it depends on your personal taste how you like your wine. But it's possible to do it. No.
Let me check something with Jean. I would like to give to you as well. La différence ici, c'est que là, on dimensionne des vins pour qu'ils vieillissent. C'est ça, par rapport à ce qu'il dit. Hein? Tu partages?
Complètement.
So the difference for us, it's our point of view. We are indeed dimensioning this kind of wine in order to be kept and to be aged. Obviously, when you take this, now it's ready.
No.
You know, you have pleasure. We can even test you and guarantee, put a guarantee label on it that if you taste it in 20 years, I don't know if we will be there in 20 years to have this tasting, but if you taste it in 20 years, you will enjoy, because I insist on each bottle we had that is more than 10, 20 years, that was a Special Club, has been a real pleasure to taste again.
Yeah.
Even 76, 81, I guess.
78.
Yeah.
It was wow. Because the style of the terroirs, because we were speaking about Montagne de Reims, that is well known for the Pinot Noir, and we have more Chardonnay in our vineyard, but we have also Pinot Noir. So the style of the house, historically speaking, has always been revealing the grape variety through its potential. The first potential of our terroir in Verzy, in La Montagne de Reims, in Sillery, is the tension line of the grape variety of our subsoils that is revealing years and years after. And this is interesting for us. That's the reason why we're completely proud and confident in the fact that this wine can be drunk earlier or in a long time, and you will always enjoy. This is not a commercial speech.
No.
This is just like a
next time
feedback.
Next time when I'm in Champagne, I will come around and you can show me those aged special cubes.
It's a great pleasure.
No, just joking. Yeah,
so,
thank you very much.
Yeah. You can.
Okay.
With pleasure.
You will try to make a short video for your guest, and we will share this experience all together.
You are welcome.
That sounds like a plan. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. It's I think we could talk on and on, but I think everyone got a good view and good imagination of what are you doing and what are your thoughts about Champagne and your champagne. And thank you for your time. Thank you for speaking English, because I absolutely know that it's very hard when you're not practiced enough English. That's speaking English again. It's not that easy. But thank you very much for your time, and yeah, you get 3 bottles of champagne open. I also, so I will have a glass now, and I wish you, wonderful, time, the rest time of the year, and we will see us next year, I think.
Yes, it was a great pleasure, Sebastian. We would like also all together to thank you very much for your time and for organizing this event. Thanks to everybody also to follow. It has been a pleasure sharing with you guys this tasting and with my friend. And so feel comfortable to end up the bottles with your girlfriend and team. And so enjoy, you guys, and thank you very much also for everything. Cheers.
Cheers.
Take care of you and have a really nice end of the year.
And Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas and
and always know New Year's Eve is perfect for Special Club.
Even more vintage to start the new vintage.
So, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.